This is for the leaders, the visionaries, the hope bringers, kindness instigators. This is your place to get loved, poured into, activated, and inspired. Good morning. Welcome to Fireside Friday, August 1st, 2025. I'm taking a drink of my water. Of course, I find myself every time I go to record and I have to adjust, take a drink of water. I share this because my internal critic, when those things are happening, is like, dude, you should have done this before. You should have taken care of this beforehand. I share that because I feel like today's message is around authenticity and grief and gratitude. I find myself, I'm going to be really emotional for today's fireside. Um, I'm sorry. Um, Today is actually the anniversary of my dad's passing 5 years ago. And I have been up for a couple hours, writing, sitting with, being with these things. And I share about the critic. And I know what our card is for today. So I know this is all in perfect timing for all of us, but it feels really uncomfortable to be at the forefront of an authentic voice showing up this vulnerably. But it felt important because part of me wondered if I should cancel today or pre-record something. And nothing felt quite right except show up from this place. And the messages I received growing up, and even that we receive from the world around us, is that as we lead, as we show up in the places where we are casting our example or sharing our message, that it needs to be cleaned up. It needs to be in a place where we can present with strength. I'm saying that in quotes for the people in the Zoom room. They can see me saying it, but if you're listening to the recording, we have this idea that strength, at least in our mind, strength looks like looking impenetrable, looking unfazed, not crying, not needing a sip of water, not needing to be human, from the place of our leadership. But what I have found, and what I believe to be true, is that actually our humanity, the ways that we are human and uniquely ourselves, the ways that we hurt, the ways that we grieve, are just as important as the way that we show up in joy and gratitude. That this life is a full gambit of hosts of different emotions, of different ways of being. Sometimes showing up in this grief is not something that I have done. I'll write something and then put it out, but to be this raw in this space is challenging. And sometimes you run the risk of feeling like it's performative. And I think, not that I would ever want to be performing this today, but I think there's just so many things that we get into the questions of in our mind around how do I show up in this moment? How do I show up when I feel the way that I feel? And I found that the best way to show up is just in the truth of what exists for us in the moments that we're in them. And as we acknowledge them, as I make space for those feelings, as I share those feelings with people I love and care about, who love and care about me, they can hold space for me. They can uh, dispel some of that grief. Uh, I read a post really recently, And I don't know if this is scientifically true, but it makes sense to me that I think they were looking at women's brains, maybe, and that women vent to each other. There's this inventing, I think it's a I'm going to say processing. When we're processing with each other, when we're sharing about what's going on with us, they could see almost like a dispersal, like there was like a release, but then other women were kind of holding that too. And that makes sense to me. That makes sense that as we hold space and hold the line with each other, and especially as leaders, when we also allow people around us support us back, to share the truth of where we are and the fullness of who we are, even when it feels shaky, even when it feels not the way that we want to be showing up. Um, but that's also when we're able to receive the support that we crave, and also the love and the belonging that we so often extend to other people. That is able for us to be receiving back when we are honest from this place. And that's been a place that I've been in the last couple years of learning how to let people in to my grief, into the inside, not just sharing, but also showing up in the question of, I don't know what's going to happen here. I don't know how to hold this in this way right now. I'm learning how to navigate that each and every day. And I feel like, too, when we offer that in our leadership, when we offer that in our example, when we show up in the fullness and the truth of not knowing, of allowing ourselves to not know, usually those solutions become more clear because we're not so fixated on, well, I don't have the solution, whatever that thing is, whatever our normal might be that we run to. For me, as I said from the beginning, writing is a really, really important place for me to process, which I did some this morning, but I've known for a couple days I've been in avoidance of some of it, and some of it just has felt like it's just not time. And part of me, like a really knowing part of navigating such heavy grief, is that I lost a dear family friend on the 20th of July. So it really brought, and I didn't even realize this until maybe the end of last week, that we were coming up. It's like my body knows, my body remembers before my mind remembers that this day is the anniversary of my dad's passing. Um, and for the first time, I think, um, this was the first time I didn't try to run to the journaling or run to the processing. I just allowed it to be with me. And then there came a time and place where I really acknowledged, okay, there's some energy here that needs to move and shift, but I wasn't ready to fully be in those emotions either, because it takes emotional capacity to actually just be honest with ourselves about how much sometimes life hurts, about how much we're hurting, about how much the people in our lives around us might be hurting. And for a lot of you listening to, and a lot of you here in this space with me, you are empaths. You hold a lot of space. You hold a lot for the people that you serve and you love. And so offering that to ourselves also is a challenge, or it's a different kind of way of learning how to be. At least that's what I've been finding, is not pushing myself, not trying to treat my mourning or my grief or this uncertain place like something that needs to be conquered, but instead uh, seeking to be in relationship with it. What is this teaching me? And also, like, sometimes not, like, not even what is the message, but just allowance. Like, just the allowance and permission to, like, be like, I'm not doing okay. I actually had a high school friend of mine I reached out to yesterday because I had this little ping. I was like, I think she's pregnant. And so I sent her a message, and sure enough, she's 7 weeks pregnant. And I haven't talked to her in a while. But she asked me how I was. And I was in this moment of, ugh, we don't talk very much. We're celebrating her pregnancy. I don't want to be honest. but I found myself being honest. Um, I felt like too at one point in the audio message I sent back to her as well was, I said, it's not fun, but it's the truth. And and I think too, there is something so valuable. I know this for my own internal knowing that me also showing up in that place of that uncertainty of admitting the truth is something that she also hasn't really seen modeled in her life. It was something I thought about later, and something I think that, again, I know was for her in that moment too. Um, because I don't know that she's ever been allowed to really tell the truth about how she's doing. Um, and I want that permission and safety for everyone who's around me, including myself, that I would have the permission and safety with me to also be like, hey, things aren't good right now. That's okay. But sometimes it doesn't even feel okay. And that's okay too. Um, and I'm saying that as much as I've been practicing saying that to myself. It's okay that it's not okay. It's okay that you don't feel like yourself. It's okay. It's okay. Uh, Before too, when I would try to like push my way through or hyper productivity or something to succeed beyond this moment in front of me, is like something I would try to like again get through, to process quickly, to have something to present ready and like sculpted and made, and like here's the thing. um and I've recognized like that is something that we have really, really, at least from my own experience, drilled into ourselves as high achievers and as women with ambition, is that we should be conquering whatever in front of us, whatever conquering means. And for me, that meant like, well, getting through it, understanding the thing, analyzing it, moving forward to the next best lesson or whatever. And as I've sat more in grief, like really allowing the sadness to be there, not asking her to leave, not questioning her, not making her wrong. And these are things too, as I'm saying them, they're acts of like discipline in of itself, of a new way of being. And discipline doesn't sound fun. It's not necessarily fun, but it is a different way that I want to be in my life and in the world, which is in full allowance and acceptance that sometimes the seasons that we're in are hard, acknowledging them with myself, with other people, and letting those things be with me, in relationship with me, that they are part of the things that ebb and flow and make life, um, for all the love that we have, all the people that we cherish, all the moments that we share with one another. They're so beautiful when we have them, and they're so hard when they're a memory. And then also when we get to choose how we are taking those memories forward, or how we get to experience something in a different way than we did before. Um, I want to read what I wrote this morning. Um, and then depending on how I'm feeling, I may move to the card, but if I'm feeling more inspired, like there's more things that need to be said, I'll move from that place. And I really appreciate all of you for being here with me today. Um, and for listening. Let's see if I can get back to the right browser. All right. Again, probably get a little emotional. On August 1st, 2020, I got the call early in the morning that I needed to go to the hospital where my dad had been for several weeks. He didn't make it. It's actually the first time I've ever written that sentence. And it's such an odd thing to say when someone passes. They didn't make it to their next breath, make it to their next birthday, make it to the hypothetical weddings of their children one day, make it to another meal. make it. He didn't make it. On July 20th, 2025, I got another call. She didn't make it. There wasn't any indication that she might not make it. I didn't know that the last time I saw her would be my last. I didn't know that the last time she announced her entrance to our family kitchen with her sing-song knock knock would be the last time. I didn't know that she might not make it. I didn't ever think he wouldn't make it. The last 2 weeks, my body has felt so tired with grief. Hollow, heavy, distant. My body remembers today's anniversary before I even started to realize that it's coming. But this year, my heart has had to navigate a new and very acute fracture, and it's dredged up much heartache for me. I felt like this sleeping hibiscus. I shared a picture of a hibiscus that was closed, alive, but cast inward into the folds of my mourning. I actually read a post this week where a woman said that while she was deep in grief, she started researching brainwaves. She said one of the things she learned is that in deep sadness and grief, we experience theta waves, waves that usually occur before deep sleep while we're awake. She wrote, we literally sleepwalk through life due to sadness, which feels like such an accurate description for how it feels neck deep in loss. You're in the grocery store, post office, work. To everyone else, you appear normal, but inside, you're still trying to wake up to a new reality, one where they didn't make it. But you did make it. And life continues in the same way it always did before, except you're different. There are new internal aches in you that feel awkward, foreign, and gangly. Random memories tug at you when you see things that remind you of them, things that were always so normal. But now they're sacred. Bologna, for example. My dad loved fried bologna, and anytime I went to visit my great grandparents as a little girl, we would have bologna sandwiches with a can of Coke. I guess that's how you continue navigating the sleepwalking thing that happens in grief. Finding the sacred in the midst of the broken shards of a heart that won't ever get over them not making it, and gratefully appreciating what they did make. When I think about them both, they actually made so much. They made strong, steady heartbeats of their families, always reliable with wide open doors and porches. They made consistent effort to show up for their communities. They made taking action seriously. They made clever jokes with cunning timing. They made our laughter easy and our burdens lighter. Impeccable, dependable, honorable, memorable teachers and friends. May we always remember that sometimes they don't make it. There will be a day when we don't make it either. But today, for now, we're still here deciding what we'll make. As my dad would say, let's make it so good. Let's make it so good. Even when it's hard, even when it's painful, we're making it. And sometimes, like I thought that to myself at the gym yesterday. Went to the gym the last 2 days, and especially yesterday. And I was being really hard on myself. And I thought to myself, hey, I'm here. I'm at the gym. Like, okay, I made it there. Um, and sometimes that's what making it looks like too. Sometimes it's just showing up in the capacity that we have the space for. Which brings me to our card, which again is very fitting for today and for the message at hand of showing up in the fullness of who we are, even when uh, it may not be how we want to show up and how we want to feel, but we make it anyway. Perpetua, the saint of authenticity. I am my authentic self in all circumstances. Who she is. The Catholic Saint Vibia Perpetua shows us the power of authenticity. Perpetua was a married noblewoman and mother living in 3rd century Carthage, which is modern day Tunisia in North Africa. The Roman Empire Emperor Septimus Severus forbade any conversions to Judaism or Christianity. In celebration of his birthday, um, in celebration of his birthday, several catechumens or Christians being instructed in the faith were arrested. Perpetua, along with a pregnant slave named Felicitas, were among them. Those who would not renounce their faith were sentenced to a public death in the arena. While Perpetua awaited her trial, she kept a prison diary. The Passion of Saint Perpetua has become one of the oldest and most extraordinarily early Christian texts. At one point in the Passion, Perpetua describes a visit from her father. He begs her to renounce Christianity. She asks him, "See that pot lying there? Can you call it by any other name than what it is?" And when her father answered no, of course not, Perpetua continued, "Neither can I call myself by any other name than what I am, a Christian." The name Perpetua is derived from the Latin perpetuus, meaning continuous. Even though her father visited several more times to plead with her to be a dutiful daughter, wife, and mother, Perpetua refused to renounce her faith in Christ. And she maintained this truth as paramount at a time when a woman's societal role was defined by her father and her husband. Her prison diary also relates her relationship with Saint Felicitas. And I am horrible with names in here and the class structures that Christianity transcends. Even though one is a noblewoman and one is a slave, they died in the arena together in 203 CE as equals and as sisters. When your soul selects her card, when we find the courage to be true to who we are, a vitality returns to us, a voice that's both moving and compelling simply because it's authentic. St. Perpetua's words in her very personal and emotional diary were so impactful that 200 years later, the renowned church Father Augustine would write about their beauty and truth. St. Perpetua suggests that there is no greater power than choosing to remain our authentic self in all circumstances. She's that person who remained loyal to her soul, and she urges us through her example to embrace the power of being authentic now. Even in the face of death, she courageously held fast to her truth, and she was Christian. Her right hand reveals the Christ mudra. She also reveals or reminds us that journal writing can be a sacred act of returning to ourselves, of listening to the soul voice inside us, and of going inward to find our answers. Perpetua is a call to a journal writing practice, even if it's just to record our dreams each morning. The inner voice that greets us as we write strengthens our authenticity. That voice becomes a light, a fire that calls to us and claims us as we dare to live out its truth. Soul voice meditation. What is the truest statement I can say about who I am? And again, the intention of the card. I am my authentic self in all circumstances. So when I think about this question, what is the truest statement I can say about who I am? What is the truest statement we can say about who we are? And I think, again, that comes through in each and every way that we make our lives, that we choose to invest our lives. And I am grateful to be in a space doing life with each and every one of you, and grateful to also have the full permission to show up in the shakiness of my own grief, of my own uncertainty, of my own unknowing of how today would even turn out. Um, and I hope that it's meant something to you and hasn't just been a blubbering fest for me. But if it has, if that's all, um, if you just held space within for me through this, like, I am grateful and I'm honored and truly, truly humbled to be able to be doing this life with you, and grateful again to know the truth of each of your stories as you share it and as you allow it, because that is such a gift. It is such a gift to do this life with you. So, who are you today? What will authentically make today for you? What choices, what aligned actions or steps is your soul craving in this moment? How can you be your truest and most authentic self? What will it look like? for you to make it today. I'll see you next week.